best friend. And it's not like I don't have some prior exposure to losing an animal. My childhood dog, Starsky, a playful black poodle schnauzer mix named after the 1970s TV cop show Starsky and Hutch, bit the dust when I was in 4th grade. Hutch, his sandy-haired Lhasa Apso partner in crime, lived down the street. Coming home one day after school, I found my dad sitting alone at the kitchen table. It was unusual for him to be home so early from work. He broke it to me like a man. "I had to put Starsky down today." "Down?" I replied obliviously. "Down where?" "I took him to the Humane Society. They put him to sleep." "Why? Was he tired?" I said, still not getting it. "No, he was very ill. The doctor said he had a tumor, so that's why he smelled funny. So they euthanized him. He's dead." "What do you mean, dead? You killed Starsky, Dad?" "No, they did it. The humane people. Sorry, kiddo." I recall feeling pretty shook up by the news and somewhat distrustful of my father's account, since Starsky hadn't appeared sick at all to me. But you wouldn't have known it by my reaction then, as I think I just mumbled something, then grabbed a bag of Doritos and scuffled into the other room to go watch the rest of Scooby-Doo. Looking back, my lukewarm response to Starsky's demise was not as considerate as I would have hoped, but in my defense, it's a lot different losing a dog as a kid than when you're a grown adult. All those days of getting up early for morning walks, picking up crap, preparing meals, playing with slobbery dog toys, clipping toenails, giving baths, emergency visits to the vet, and picking up more crap before snuggling into bed, and then having to get up and do it all over again. It adds up. It all means something, the responsibility that another living critter is completely dependent on you for survival. But let's go back to the beginning. I was living with Liberty, my ironically named performance artist girlfriend, who dumped me out of the blue one day because she yearned for her freedom from me in our slummy one-room apartment. She claimed to be too sensitive to break up in person, so she left me a pretentious video message of her reciting some bad poetry, professing how she needed to spread her artistic wings by moving into a 3,000-foot loft space that her parents had bought for her. Liberty and I had discussed getting a dog together, so to get over her departure, I ventured out to the local pound to find a new roommate. It wasn't as if I needed a puppy to lick my wounds, even though, in hindsight, I guess you could call it fate. Walking into the ASPCA that day was like entering a maximum security prison. There were wild, untamed dogs of all shapes and sizes, barking and bouncing off walls inside their dank, dimly lit cages. "Pick me! Pick me!" And then I came to the end of the last row and found a dignified little guy just sitting quietly at ease, glaring up at me with a look of contempt. "What took you so long?" This was Pete. Judging by the condition of Pete's teeth, the ASPCA staffers guesstimated that he was either 2 or 3 years old. Nobody there could verify his official birth date. To paraphrase a well-known line from Casablanca, "Of all the dogs and all the dog shelters in all the world." Considering the formidable lineup of available dogs that day at the kennel, one might assume that I saved Pete's life. But the honest-to-God truth is that he saved mine. Unlike most household pets, I pretty much owe my whole career to that darn dog. I was a starving artist when we first met, and he turned my fading hopes of becoming a professional painter into a full-fledged cottage industry. He was not only my precious pal, he was my meal ticket. Before Pete, I had arrogantly envisioned myself as the next Jackson Pollock or Mark Rothko by painting these humongous abstract paintings with big, bold splashes of color, but, quite frankly, nobody gave a shit. So, desperate for cash to pay the rent, I was commissioned by the friend of a friend to do a portrait of their Mack truck-sized Great Dane. It turned out well, evidently, because one thing led to another, and I was soon thrust headfirst into the dog world, deluged with freelance gigs, and became known as Charlie Keefe, painter of dogs, a.k.a. the Picasso of Pooch portraits. I knew next to nothing about dogs until I started painting them, but thereafter I became a self-taught connoisseur of breeds, quickly discerning the differences between pit bulls and bull terriers, cocker spaniels and Springer spaniels, Bernese mountain dogs and Portuguese water dogs, Shih Tzus, Shar-Peis, and Shiba Inus. You get the pointer. And don't even get me started on the designer hybrid dogs. Soon enough, my busy schedule for